What's up, all you fine folks? Long time no see, at least live. Uh, are we 5 by 5 before we get rolling? If y'all could let me know, that would be fantastic. I appreciate it. I'm drinking. I had to stop. Man, the schedule's crazy. I had to stop and get some Dunkin' in a bottle this morning. That's where my life's at, son. 5 by 5s. Thank y'all very, very much. Clint Hess, thank you. Chief Indian, citizen of Zion, Steph L. Good morning, ABC Patriot. Good morning. The old crone or crony. Good morning. How are you doing? Mad Medic, Don Monroe. It's good to see you as well, Gloria. I appreciate you being here. Karen. Yes. Happy for a live. Thank you, moderators. I see y'all in here. Creeping. US Patriot, how are you doing? So it's basically a free for all live stream. I wasn't sure if anybody was going to show up because, as I talked about last week, everybody always asks for the live streams. Can we have a live stream? We'll pack it out. As I'm looking at the numbers right now, the number we'll see where it falls at the end of the live stream. But as of right now, it would appear that the pre-recorded stuff is actually pulling better numbers. So we'll see. But this is fun anyway. Spending 25 minutes moving stuff throughout the house. For those that were talking about the like the wireless extenders and all that and the repeaters, they don't work here. I've tried that. I should have mentioned that in that video. Hexer1, how are you doing? How are you doing, Mike Liness? So we'll be talking about a variety of things that y'all want to talk about in chat. I'm not going to be talking a whole lot about the Democratic National Convention, and here's why. I really don't care. I'm kind of bored with it. With the election in general, I'm kind of bored with it. We'll touch on it briefly, but the whole thing, we don't do tie time anymore. Who said that? Ligma. We don't do that anymore. I do have a tie hanging on the wall somewhere in memorandum of that, though. What a fun time that was. So let me explain why I'm not going to be talking politics a whole lot from here on out. Because I knew a very long time ago I was not going to be voting for Joe Biden. And then when they pulled the old switcheroo, we knew the switcheroo was coming. It was just a matter of who they were going to parachute in, right? When Kamala Harris came in, I know deep down I'm not voting for Kamala Harris. So nothing that happens at the convention is going to change my mind. No debate that happens between presidential candidates or vice presidential candidates, that my mind's made up. I know who I'm voting for, and it's been that way for quite a while. You know what I mean? So to me, there's really not a whole lot of sense in beating a dead horse. Maybe there are a few of you that are still on the fence, but look, throw a number, just type number 1 in chat if you already know who you're voting for. And as you see the number 1s hopefully popping up in chat, you'll realize that the rest of the election cycle from here on out is just a monumental waste of time. Everybody in the United States knows who they are voting for already, you know? But I will say this before we move. Yeah, they're the number 1s everywhere. So it's a waste of time. It's white noise. You go to Fox, you go to CNN right now, the top 5 stories are dealing with the Democratic National Convention. And I could care less what is happening there. I could care less what's happening outside with the little rowdies. They deserve it. They deserve it in Chicago because they've allowed these people to be rowdy for so long. So whatever, it is what it is. I will mention this though, Kennedy, and it's a waste of money. Yes, Nanette, it is a huge waste of money. Kennedy, I've seen this multiple places, right? I've seen this in Eastern media, not Western mainstream media, but I also saw this, over our buddy Alex, Mr. Jones, and typically he's right on this kind of stuff. He is saying Kennedy is preparing to drop out of the race, endorse Donald Trump, and be given a cabinet position once Trump gets into the White House. So the idea there is the lady, and I do not remember her name, that is running with Kennedy, she realizes the writing's on the wall. We ain't going to win. Kennedy, sorry, son, you're not going to be the next president of the United States. So it basically for them comes down to, do we want to see Trump in office or do we want to see Kamala Harris? And apparently they don't want to see Kamala Harris in office. And so he's going to endorse Donald Trump. So be looking for that. And Trump is actually on record saying he's open to possibly offering a cabinet position. He didn't say which one, to Kennedy. So we'll see. For me, the big news this week, again, has not been the convention, but layoffs. We got to talk about them. Layoffs. It's a doom stream, for crying out loud, son. A live one at that. We've got to talk about layoffs because they're, as we predicted months ago, they're happening all over the place. And they're going to continue to happen all over the place. And we're going to have a deep and in-depth discussion on this. Hopefully not FBI director. Can you imagine that 308 if they put him in charge of the FBI? So layoffs. I'm going to go down a list, and this is just this week. These companies have announced layoffs. General Motors is laying off 1,000 software jobs. MasterCard, 1,000 employees are being laid off. A company called Stellantis, which makes, I believe, the original or the bare bones Dodge Ram design. They're doing away with that plant entirely, and they're going to be laying off 2,450 people. That plant is in Warren, Michigan. Paramount is laying off 2,000 people. Paramount Plus, Paramount Parks. I don't know where these people are being laid off from, but they're gushing money. Paramount don't know what they're going to do. They're looking for a buyer. Nobody wants to buy. Intel, one of the largest chip makers in the world, in the digital age, 15,000 employees are about to be laid off. Warner Brothers and Discovery laying off 1,000 employees. Campbell's Soup, they are laying off 415 employees. And initially, I got to hand it to the union here. Initially, how are you doing, Okie-Con? They were going to lay off twice as many because they were going to shut the plant entirely down. And the union basically sat down with this company and they talked them into, hey, can we just make sauces here, like spaghetti sauces and stuff like that? So they were able to, at least short term, save 400 and some jobs, but still they're laying off 415 employees. Kellogg's, 140 people are being laid off. So I think what we're seeing here, at least in the commercial part of things, the American consumer, and y'all let me know if this applies to you. It certainly applies to me. The American consumer cannot afford to buy brand name stuff right now. People were leaving comments on the Kellogg's thing. We hadn't bought Kellogg's cereal in so long, son. But from what I understand, the boxes, the standard boxes of cereal, are $5 and $6 in certain parts of the country, and people have just been buying the off-brand. They've been buying I forget the brand name. We buy it sometimes. It comes in bags and things. I mean, you got to do what you got to do, right? You cannot afford to pay a premium price right now for a much smaller product. And we're going to continue to see this, unfortunately, because of that. It's not like people are coming into money anytime soon. Thank you, Mike McDonald, Cobra. Thank you. I appreciate that. My wife got that for me. So, yeah, it's bad news. obviously. Um, but again, we predicted this months ago, and it's going to continue to happen. It's going to continue to happen. Your national brands are going to continue to lay off because they're national brands for a reason. They have to pay for advertising and stuff like this, and that drives the price of their products up. Now, I will say the one thing we will probably buy, and it's terrible for you, and I think it's made by General Mills, but the Halloween cereal. We do buy that stuff. Y'all know what I'm talking about on that. But beyond that, um, we buy off brand, man. We have been for a long time. Florida man, wow. Wow. Thank you very much. Thank you for the live. Good to see and hear you again. I appreciate that very much. I'm going to try and sneak live streams in as I can. I cannot guarantee that they're going to go for an hour or anything like that. And for the people that have been asking, once again, in case you missed that video about the radioactive podcast, the main reason that we're not doing the radioactive podcast again is I cannot, at least right now, and I'll explain why soon, I cannot commit to an hour or an hour and a half to a live stream. And I did not want to leave Backwoods hanging. That's my buddy. I consider him a really good friend. He's a really good guy. People have been leaving comments. We miss Backwoods. And I'm like, he has his own channel. He puts content out. Go check him out. He's still around. But I hope and pray that I get to the point where I can commit to that again. But wow, thank you, Florida man. I really, really appreciate that. Steph L, same thing. I appreciate it. Not only do I appreciate the super chats, okay, but I appreciate the fact that I know these names. I know these names. I recognize these names. Share Bear's up here. I recognize Share Bear. You know, I've missed doing these live streams. This is pretty awesome. Vicky Roberts, I recognize the name. Thank you very much for the super sticker. Alan Alexander Cruz. That's kind of a newer name on me, but I'm glad you're here. And thank you for being here. As I see names, I'm one of these dudes. As I see names, eventually they program into my head like Lord Eagle and Roy Batty, Waters Family Homestead. So I really do appreciate it. And I will get into a little more of the specifics of, you know, why I don't have an hour here and there and stuff like that. But right now we got to be careful because the British, G Puckett, I know your name. I see you in here all the time. Um, the British have threatened to arrest American conservatives who speak too loudly on social media and speak against the quote unquote system. I've seen a lot of y'all talking about this in the comment section and stuff like that. And yeah, it makes my blood boil too. ABC Patriot, first of all, thank you. Second of all, I know you've been here for a while. Not only do I know your name, but you remember the whole glove fiasco. I got, I got gloves, but I appreciate it. So yeah, it makes my blood boil too. They had better not show up at this house. You know, the British. No, son. We done had a war with the British and showed them what's up. Now that was a very long time ago. Roy Batty. I'm only grateful and praying for mercy now. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Nothing. Let me just say that real quickly again, okay? Nothing wrong with that. Worst times of my life, I've always looked to my blessings. And I've always heard, you know, when you are in hell, because sometimes, and I've been there just like a lot of you are there now. I know Rambo has surgeries coming up, and it's going to seem like you're going through hell. You keep going because eventually you're going to get through the bad times, and it really makes you appreciate the good times. But I bring up this whole British thing, not because I'm worried about the Brits coming to the, again, they better not show up here. But we may be seeing it here in the United States. A lot of times when we see stuff happening across the pond, it eventually makes its way here. And this is one of the many things that is dangerous about Kamala Harris. The British have found a way to legalize this Okay. And spin it in such a way where they can enforce it and people are forced to take it. Kamala Harris is good at this. She's not good at a lot. Force knows she's good at one thing or another. I'd throw you out there, Force. Um, she's not good at a lot, but one thing she is good at is her ability to spin things and convince really dumb people, hey, we need to do this. Okay. If these right wingers, these extreme people are on social media, we need to go to their homes. We need to re educate these people so they think like we do. This is how Kamala Harris is wired. Um, Debbie 359. These numbers throw me off. I'm so sorry. Thank you for the super sticker, man. And good morning to you. I don't know why they started putting numbers beside almost everybody's name. 300 Warriors, how you doing? So I was going through the community section this morning. I do this. You can go to prepping.com. For anybody that wants to know, if you want to skip your average nonsense and you just want to go to the top of the food chain for prepping, you can go to prepping.com and they curate the videos and they've got the heavy hitters up there. And I keep seeing food shortages, and I've seen video of and pictures and things on these videos. Hey, man, there are 2 empty spots on this shelf. Food shortages are here. And again, not to take shots, not to be disrespectful to anybody, but there ain't no food shortages. And I'm going to tell you how I know. And there's no famine. I'm not saying there will never be famine, but there's no famine here in the United States as of right now. There are empty spots on the shelves, but this is due to a lack of employees. And I know this because I had a nephew. His name's Taylor, if he's listening. Shout out to Taylor. Educate me on this. We've had many. I've known this kid since he was born. You know what I mean? And we've had talks about religion. We've had talks about there was a point in time when he was thinking about going into the military, and I was talking to him about this. So one of our most recent talks, and I'm not trying to bore y'all with this, is the way people look at things in this country right now. Gen X and boomers, we're looking at this. Y'all tell me if I'm wrong. All right. If I'm right, throw me a number 1 in the chat. Boomers and Gen X, we can't get anybody to work. Nobody wants to work. We're offering $18 an hour and people just will not apply for jobs. Am I right? A lot of local restaurants around here, they'll tell you the same thing. They've got weird hours. They're like, well, we're going to have to close on a Saturday. Why are you closing on Saturday is what could be the busiest day of the week for you? Well, we don't have enough employees. We can't pay people to work. And so I was having this discussion with Taylor, who is younger than I am. He is I don't know what he is. He's not he's not in the millennial generation. He's whatever is behind that. I get him confused at some point. We will get to that in just a second, Marcia. Thank you very much. So, and he educated. He educated. He said, here's how my generation looks at things. Here's why people are not applying for jobs. Because we think they're just being lazy. And look, sometimes they are. They just live in a basement with their parents and stuff like this. That's the truth, right? But he's like, we look at boomers and we look at Gen X. He called me out and my wife. He said, because my wife has 401k. He said the moment she pulls it out, she's going to lose 40% of it. He said, you guys have health insurance, but you have to pay a copay. And the copay is no joke, right? He has seen not only us, but other people in the family who work hard, living paycheck to paycheck. And he said, my generation is not going to continue this trend. We are not going to live paycheck to paycheck, and we have a bad habit as Gen X and boomers, go out and get a second job. Ain't nothing wrong with that, son. I've worked 2 jobs myself. He's like, his vantage point and his perspective and his generation's perspective is as follows. If a company can give me insurance that is usable, can give me retirement that is usable, and can pay me enough to where I don't have to worry about living paycheck to paycheck, yeah, I'll come in and I'll work 40 hours a week. But if they can't do that, I'm not applying for the job. And I told him, I said, Taylor, what's happening though, my man, is a lot of industry, fast food, restaurants, things like this, they're getting killed. They're going under because they don't have enough employees. And he looked straight at me and he said, good. We don't need fast food anyway. Look at what fast food does to people. He said it is a slave labor industry that makes people fat. We're the fattest nation in the world. This leads to health problems. He's saying some industries really just don't need to exist and they're going to be replaced with something else. So anyway, this is the conversation that he and I had. And, he made some decent points. I didn't agree with everything he had to say, but it is what it is. Marsha. That's okay. I get it. It's oh God, what is that? The Brady Bunch, right? Reference. Watched a live out of Russia, what some supposed American and Mexican descent saying, we do not want these American conservatives in Russia. Picture was a dude covered in tattoos, called him a liar. So anything that you get, anything that you're watching out of Russia, I would take with a grain of salt. Straight up. Because not that Fox News isn't propaganda. It is not that CNN's not propaganda, because it absolutely is. But RT News and a lot of stuff that you see coming out of Russia's propaganda as well. It's all propaganda, right? I don't think, and this is my personal opinion, I don't think the government of Russia hates the average U.S. citizen. I think they hate our government. And I'm not against capitalism. I love capitalism. But the kind of capitalism that we have right now is not working. We're not using the intended capitalism. You know what I mean? The top 1% remain the top 1%. Everybody else lives paycheck to paycheck or they're totally broke. It wasn't intended to be that way, right? And I think that many of America's enemies, they're enemies with our government. They're not necessarily enemies with, especially conservatives here in the United States. So I would take it with a grain of salt, but at the same time, looking at Russia and seeing how, because they're a very conservative country. People look at them and they say, oh, they're a bunch of commies. They're not a communist country anymore. Now, Putin's a warlord and he rules with an iron fist, and I don't trust the elections over there to save my life. But let's be honest, I don't trust them here either. You know what really is the difference? The difference is, in my opinion, they don't put up with DEI. Whereas in the United States, it's force fed to us. So that's just my 2 cents on that. But anywhere you're getting information, take it with a grain of salt. Look for multiple sources. Don't just trust one source. That would be my advice. And thank you again very much. What was it? Marsha. So the C-19 outbreak is back, and the Mpox. It's called the Mpox, right? Because they're trying not to be racist. Now they're putting out world alerts about the Mpox. And I know this because I had to go to the doctor for a routine checkup yesterday. and they made me wear a mask. And I'm like, what? Everybody in there was wearing a mask, employees and everything. I'm like, what is going on? Well, the C-19's back. And I'm like, you mean the flu season's coming around? Uh, okay, I'll wear a mask. For the folks on Patreon, I posted a ridiculous picture wearing the thing. But I was thinking, man, oh man, what timing? What timing, right? Because they're saying with the Mpox, um, close proximity to somebody that has the Mpox and you can catch it. So, in other words, you don't want to be in a line voting physically. You would much rather vote online or mail it off into the nether and just hope somebody counts your vote as opposed to going and making sure that, I mean, just what timing, right? So, if you've not been to the doctor in a while, this is a thing. Now, they weren't so much worried about the Mpox. There, at least, it was all about the C-19 again. But I'm like, man, look, haven't we been through this already? Haven't we been through this so many different times? I don't even care about the C-19 anymore. You know, just sit me over in the corner without a mask on, son, and let everybody else sit over here and stare at me. I don't care. And you could tell some people did not want to be, because it was kind of busy in there in the waiting room. Some people didn't want to be wearing the mask like me, and they were griping about it. Uh, McBean. So the thumbnail art says live, and you should see a little thing that says live as well on the stream. It's hard, I know. But you were first in the house, so congrats on that. But then you had other people with the crazy eyes. You know what I'm talking about. They've seen on TV that the C-19 is coming back, and that's the end of it, right? So I wanted to talk about doing the things. Y'all ever heard this? Let me know in chat. Have you ever heard that phrase here in the community? Doing the things. We're going to get into why I don't really have an hour here, can't commit to an hour and a half for the radioactive podcast, at least not right now. Well, no, McBean, you were first one day last week or very early this week. I remember distinctly when I was watching chat replay, buddy, twice now. Lightning has struck twice. Do the things, do the things, do the things, right? So let me be cut and dry with y'all. Let me be fully transparent with y'all. If you've been here for a while, you may remember me saying this stuff. If not, the videos are still there. You can go back and watch. I said, as a prepper, I think I'm going to cut down to 2 meals a day. I'm going to antiquate my body to 2 meals a day. I'm going to cut calories. I'm going to get used to this, right? So I didn't just randomly do this. Okay. I talked to my doctor about this, nutritionist and all this stuff, which is where the gluten-free stuff came for a while. I'm back on gluten now. It's not a huge deal, right? And I did this. I didn't just get on here and say, "Oh, it'd be a good idea." People will say that on camera. Well, you need to cut down to 2 meals a day, and they're 300 pounds overweight on camera, and they remain 300 pounds overweight on camera. I mean, they're just talking through their ears, right? I actually did this. And as I was, cutting meals, I was cutting weight because I was overweight. I was 60 pounds overweight. And so now I'm down to my ideal weight. For anybody that cares, I mean, it is what it is. And then I started taking care of elective medical procedures that honestly I should have done a long time ago. I was just letting stuff go. And I can remember having a conversation where we were like, you know what, son? If you can get stuff taken care of medically, some people were talking about dentally, all this stuff. You should go ahead and do it before chaos ensues. So I said, I don't want to be the dude that is sitting up here telling people to do that and not doing it myself. And I hate going to the doctor. I hate having these procedures done. I was getting ready to have a small surgery, posted a picture on Patreon. I'm like, y'all pray for me. And then because I was scared, I got white coat syndrome. Anybody that doesn't know, I don't like hospitals. I don't like doctors. I don't like any kind of procedures, right? And then the rumors started flying. Oh my God, he's dying. Oh my God, he's already dead. He's AI. He's pregnant. He's getting divorced, son. He's getting whatever it is changed downtown to where he's going to be something else. He done went full liberal. Like, people just started doing this. And all I did was ask for prayers because I'm getting ready to go back and get an elective procedure done. And I was like, man, it can't hurt to ask for a few prayers because I believe in prayer, right? But I also believe in doing what I say I'm doing on this channel. Also, for those that have been here for a hot minute, some people are like, I'm unsubscribing. I found out you're in the retro games. I'm unsubscribing. Used to run a game store. Okay, used to own a game store, retro game store. So I got all these games. They're very expensive. So what I've been doing is I've been consolidating down to one console, focusing on that, selling the rest off to pay down debt. Because to me, paying down debt is part of prepping, right? And I hear these slights. They're sent my way. They're sent other people's way. If you're going to run a prepping channel, you need to be doing the things. And so I want to be fully transparent. Okay. There are a million different things that you can be doing as a prepper. You're never, ever going to see me on this channel rolling around in the dirt, pulling potatoes up, kissing goats in the mouth, chasing chickens around, because I don't enjoy that stuff. That's not the part of prepping that I enjoy. I don't enjoy homesteading. Full transparency, okay? But just because I'm not out here living like a caveman or a full-blown homesteader on Gunsmoke does not mean that I'm not doing the things. You guys have seen it in real time, the ones that have been here. I'm cutting a meal out. I'm cutting down to 2 meals. You guys have watched the weight come off. For those on Patreon, you've seen pictures from the doctor's office. You've seen pictures where I'm getting ready to go back into surgery, scared to death because I'm getting something done that I should have got done a long time ago. I'm selling off stuff that I don't really need to pay off debt. I am doing the things. There are plenty of different ways to do the things. And for anybody that doesn't understand that, that is coming from a place of pure ignorance. Do the things for sure, but do the things that you enjoy as a prepper. All right? To me, making sure that I'm taken care of medically is part of prepping. I want to be in good health. If this country goes into civil war mode, I want to be in good shape. I don't want to be 60 pounds overweight, right? I want to make sure that I have the surgeries that I need and everything's taken care of so I can go if I need to go with my family. My family comes first. Debt. Nobody wants to be a debt slave, son. And I'm no different. I'm just like y'all. I'm trying to pay my debt off. I'm trying to come up with creative ways to pay. And I don't have, it's not like I've went into debt for a ton of things, but I have substantial student debt. And I don't meet Joe Biden's criteria for, the free fairy wand, where he waves the wand around. Hey, you don't owe any more money, son. Taxpayers paid it. I don't want taxpayers to pay it. I'm on the hook for it. I'm going to own my debt, but I'm trying to pay it off. You understand what I'm saying? So definitely do the things, be doing the things. But when you hear that phrase out in the community from here on out, I want you to understand this does not mean that you have to be a dirt farmer. You don't have to have ant farms. You can. I mean, hey, whatever. You want to live totally off grid? That's great if you enjoy that. But there are a lot of people watching right now, promise you, and a lot of people listening, because some of y'all crazy, y'all working, and you listening for work, you tell me. Some of you just don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy it. I don't want to spend 12 hours a day homesteading. Why? Because my kids are in high school, and I would rather spend time with them before they leave the nest. I make no apologies. I'd rather spend time with my wife. My wife loves to can. I mentioned this the other day. She loves to can, but only certain things. She loves her jams and jellies, right? We tried one year where we tried growing a bunch of fruit, and did it work? Yes, but it was a pain in the rear end, and it was super time consuming. And she realized, hey, can't we just drive to the farmer's market? You know, it's actually, it's not a, I don't think it's a farmer's market. It's called, what is this place called? Virginia State Line Produce or something. It's right across the line from Surrey County. It's actually in Cana, Virginia, if you've ever been there. These people, super nice. And she realized I can go in and I can buy the stuff because they got it in spades. It's not like they're a DEI company. It's not like we're supporting Anheuser-Busch here, son. It's a family owned deal. We have a great rapport with these people. And she's like, yeah, I'll buy X amount. I'm going home and I'm canning it. Prepping needs to be enjoyable. You can do the things, but there are plenty of things to do. Right there, again, there are people listening right now. Maybe they're not physically able to go out and homestead, but they can still do things. And when people say do the things and then they immediately point to the things they do, other people see that and they think, maybe I'm not a real prepper because I'm not physically able, to go out and do this. And that's false. Again, that comes from a place of ignorance. So I'm going to leave y'all with that thought. We will try to go live again sometime this week. I don't know what day. I don't even, what's today? Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday? One or the other, right? Only 2 days left. Going to try my very best to go live. Um, Thank you for being here, for packing it out, for all of the support. Thank you to the replay crowd in advance. I will go through and check all of those comments as well. Y'all take care and God bless.